The funeral for Officer Kerrie Orozco just wrapping up, one of the most powerful moments. Kerrie has gone before us. Now it is up to us to carry on. The priest dismissed all Omaha police officers just a few moments ago. They are all making their way to begin the procession. There are motorcycles lined up. There's also Officer Kerrie Orozco's gang unit car, which I understand will be driven to the funeral as well. WOWT6 News photographer Christian Shampoo will be going up with Omaha Police's Able One. We will be able to give you the images from the sky as the funeral procession makes its way along the route. We have live team coverage. Lena Tillett, Brian Mastery, Joe Chiodo, my co-anchor John Nicely, all covering the funeral and also the procession route. They've all been sharing images on social media. It's just being flooded with images of people lined up despite the rain. They have set up tents. They have taken their children out there because they truly want them to get a glimpse of what it is like to honor a fallen Omaha police officer and a hero in our community. Powerful images of Omaha police lined up in uniform. The men and women of our city paying tribute to an officer that was known for her service. She was known for being a wife, a mother, and for most of all, making a difference in kids' lives in our community that desperately needed it.
Mallory, very fitting tribute here. St. John's Church, and the officers standing at attention as the casket will be brought out shortly. Pastor Bond, Archbishop Lucas have come out. Also some of the priests as well, speaking quietly. It's just very quiet here outside of St. John's Church.
A very solemn moment for our community. Officer Orozco's funeral began at 11 o'clock. We saw so many members from the Catholic Church standing there speaking on her behalf. We saw Omaha Police Chief Todd Schmatter stepping up to the microphone and saying that because of her service and the woman she was, she has gained nationwide attention, and really talking about how blessed we all are that the entire nation got to know Officer Kerrie Orozco because she is a true treasure. And the chief saying that a lot of us have Kerrie inside of us, meaning her dedication to service. It's just been unparalleled when speaking about how much time she gave up. I thought one of the most powerful moments of her service was when the chief asked the Omaha Boys and Girls Club team that Kerrie coached to stand up, and you heard applause break out as they honored the children she dedicated her life to helping. Let's pause for a moment.
And Mallory, the officer is still standing at attention. Not every officer is able to be inside for the funeral mass. Just moments ago, many came by us as we stood here along Press Row. County sheriffs, Urbandale Police Department called Horton Police Department, Carroll, Atkinson, Topeka, corrections officers, all here. Let's listen.
We are taking a live look just outside of St. John's, where Officer Kerrie Orozco's funeral just wrapped up. That car right there is beginning the procession, which will proceed into Council Bluffs to the St. Joseph Cemetery there. The procession will move north on 24th Street down Dodge from 24th to 25th. It will continue on to 9th Street. It'll take the 10th Street on-ramp for I-480. And we will be following this. Our WOWT 6 News photojournalist Christian Shampoo will be in Omaha Police's Able 1 helicopter. We will be able to bring you those images from the sky as soon as that procession starts making its way. As you can see, Omaha police officers still lined up outside of St. John's, where Officer Kerrie Orozco, a 7-year veteran of the Omaha Police Department, a 29-year-old mother, a wife, and a woman dedicated to helping so many children in our community, was laid to rest today. It has been a powerful morning for our community to witness so many of Omaha Police's officers, both men and women in uniform, many of them carrying blue roses because they say that Kerrie wore flowers so well. Her baby girl, Olivia Ruth, I know many viewers are wondering about her. There was a picture yesterday sent out of baby Ruth, Olivia Ruth, wearing a onesie that said, "Keep calm and carry on," which is a message so many in our community have continued to use since this tragedy first began. Again, inside the church today, we heard Kerrie has gone before us. Now it is time, it is up to us, rather, to carry on. Omaha Police Chief Todd Schmatter referencing her life filled with service. And what we're looking at right now, that is Officer Kerrie Orozco's gang squad car that they parked outside of St. John's. It is now following the car where her casket is being driven to St. Joseph Cemetery in Council Bluffs. Officers lined up on both sides.
Yeah, Mallory, if you notice, the officers are still standing at attention, as they have been for quite some time. And it was a powerful moment as they saluted when the casket of Officer Kerrie Orozco was brought out and put in the hearse by the honor guard. The honor guard, 6 people that have trained for this, and very professional, respectful in a moment like this. And even the names of the officers involved on the honor guard are not released, because as they would say, it's not about them, it's about their fellow officer who died in the line of duty. There will be bagpipes here at outside the church as well, and then also at the graveside ceremony. Officers still standing at attention. They came out of the church as they went in with the crucifix leading the processional. Father Bond with his homily today, touching many ways about Kerrie and the fact that her family was there. She had 3 brothers and also her sister, and she was the oldest. Her mom, Ellen Holtz, lives in Walnut, Iowa, and Kerrie's father died of an illness just before the age of 50s. So he had a difficult time for the family and then, and you can just feel the moments of heartbreak today, and this tremendous show of support from police officers from around the country. And let's listen. All right, the officers have been told they can fall out, and now they will proceed to the ceremony at the graveside as well. As Father Bond mentioned, Kerrie wasn't perfect, but it was her faith that really made the difference in her life. And he said she was all about love for God and faith, and a generous person. He said of the Beatitudes, what best served her was her desire to make peace. Blessed be the peacemakers.
And John, right now we're witnessing an officer giving another officer a hug right outside of St. John's. Very powerful image right now live on our air. We have seen this play out several times throughout the morning of the funeral as law enforcement officers are just overcome with grief as they try to deal with the passing of Officer Orozco, someone who was so well respected in her department and really looked up to for everything that she did, both for her fellow officers and also kids in the community, and organizations in the community. A very tough day for members in blue.
Chief Schmatter had great comments about when you see a police officer now from this point on, look at that officer as if you would see a little bit of Kerrie in that officer. And he said because there's so many that are like her, community-minded, and not just patrolling streets, but taking an interest in people's lives in our community and trying to make it better.
Thank you, John. We're taking a live look. This is just outside of St. John's, where the funeral services for Officer Kerrie Orozco just wrapped up. The procession is just now beginning. My colleague Joe Chiodo just posted a picture of law enforcement lined up on the procession route. You can see that on Twitter. It's a very powerful image with a huge American flag as that procession will make its way into Council Bluffs. Let's check in now with Joe. I know he's been talking to members of our community.
Yeah, Mallory, as you mentioned, a lot of remarkable sights we're seeing down here. We've been sharing them on social media. Now we want to give you a look from right here when it's actually happening. Take a look at just how many people are here lined up for the procession, which is about to begin. We got here about 2 hours ago, and I mean, it was probably about a quarter of the people that have been here right now. So it just continues to grow, and it lines all of Douglas Street. If you want to take a look down, we'll have our chief photographer, Mike Plews, turn around right here, and you can see law enforcement lined up, Omaha Fire and Rescue, right before the 480 overpass as the procession will make its way over the bridge under that big American flag that you see right there to bring Officer Orozco to the cemetery. Now, I know we have Aaron Murray just over the bridge in Council Bluffs to give you a vantage point over there from when it does pass through. So far, what we've seen coming down this road so far, we haven't seen the actual procession, but we have seen multiple law enforcement cars and agencies making their way through. I know they have left the church, as John and Brian mentioned, so we know that we are expecting them to make their way down here pretty soon. I know we've heard that there will be about 1,000 police vehicles at least in this procession, and we can only expect more cars on top of that. As you can see, the crowd continues to grow here. We've been talking with people here lining the streets all morning, lots of them saying that, you know, they came out here because they may have a relative that works in law enforcement, maybe a firefighter, lots of people even from other parts of the country. One man is here from South Dakota representing his son's fire department there because he called him and said that it just hits too close to home, and he wanted that his fire department represented in some way. We were down at the CenturyLink earlier where the public was invited to watch the actual funeral happen. They projected it onto the big screens, and we saw agencies from Minnesota, from Indianapolis, a police officer even from San Francisco who used to live in Omaha. So obviously this has just touched the entire community here, and not only that, but the entire nation. And as you can see, like I said, it touched the community, a huge showing of support, people holding signs saying support blue and carry on, and those hashtags that you've seen all across social media, also seeing them right here lined across the street. So we are expecting the procession to get underway here any minute. We have seen, as I mentioned, the cars with their lights flashing coming by, but not the entire procession just yet. When it does, we will be sure to come back live to this area right here and bring you those pictures. We'll send it back to you in the studio now.
Thank you, Joe. It's just very powerful to see the lines and lines of people. This is from our first national tower cam, and it's just such a powerful image to see so many people literally lined up in some places shoulder to shoulder, just waiting for that funeral procession to move through. As Joe mentioned, people coming nationwide. Chief Schmatter also referenced that the nationwide impact that Officer Kerrie Orozco had on so many people, whether they serve in law enforcement or they're just watching her story because of her incredible service and the fact that she just dedicated her life to making a difference in kids' lives, and in many cases kids who desperately needed somebody to give them the respect or the attention that they may never have had. That procession will be getting underway in just a few moments, and we will continue to show you those live images. Also, WOWT 6 News photographer Christian Shampoo is going up with the Omaha Police Department's Able 1, and we will be able to follow that funeral procession as it moves into Council Bluffs. And in Council Bluffs is where WOWT 6 News' Aaron Murray is standing by live, and just a few moments ago it was also filling up near where she was. Let's check back in with her now live. Aaron?
Mallory, we're here on 25th and Broadway here in Council Bluffs. What started out as just a few people a few hours ago is now thousands of people. I'm going to step out of the way and show you the number of people that have come here today to pay their respects to Omaha police officer and detective Kerrie Orozco. Now, like I said, people are here, many of them in blue, trying to do that, support blue in honor of her. We're also seeing a lot of signs and American flags. We've also spent the time out here speaking to many of these people, hearing the wonderful and heartfelt stories that we have been sharing with you as our audience throughout the day. Some of them knowing Kerrie personally, whether it's a neighbor or a friend. Others just out here because they feel for the person that she was and the person that we've learned her to be from just hearing these stories. It definitely is kind of an emotional time out here too. I'm going to have Wayne kind of pan to the left here because we're also right in front of Thomas Jefferson High School. And this school, I want to share a little story, did something very special today. The principal asked the student body to wear blue, and about 20 minutes ago, they all filed out, and many of them are students under 18 years old, out here wearing blue, supporting an officer. Now, we had a chance to speak to one of the students earlier, and we will share kind of her story later in the day, but it wasn't a fight. It wasn't hard to get these students to do this. They wanted to be out here and be a part of their community and showing support for this woman. Now, there's definitely a lot of anticipation out here as well. I can tell you that. Everybody checking their phones, everybody kind of wanting to, know when they're going to be coming. And as you guys have been saying, we know that they're out here on the road now. So anticipation is definitely building. Everybody waiting for that moment to, whether it's, say a prayer, kind of, wave their flag, or even just, wave at the people surrounding Kerrie on her kind of final ride here to the cemetery. And again, like I told you, we've been talking to a lot of these people, some in tears, many also parents taking this kind of as a teaching moment for their children. Many kids, fortunately, not having to have witnessed this in their lifetime, which is, of course, a good thing. But now seeing it, this has kind of been a teaching moment for them. Now, I kind of am hearing that we might be seeing someone kind of come down. Yep, very far off in the distance. We're starting to see those lights. Not kind of close enough now yet. Still pretty far down there, but they are coming. And actually, you can kind of hear the crowd just get a little bit quieter. Everybody kind of craning their necks and craning their heads. And take a look there. I'm step out of the way, see if we can just see down the road just a little bit. Yep, still kind of far off in the distance. And as you see, a lot of people kind of even stepping off the sidewalk, everybody wanting to kind of make sure they get a good spot to either wave to the officers surrounding her and wave to the people and just to support the family here. Like I said, we've seen a lot of those signs that say support blue. A lot of them having Kerrie's officer number, that having her officer number on there and supporting her. And like I said, just a few hours ago, just a few hundred people, the rain kind of keeping people in their cars. But now that there is no rain out here and that the weather is, knock on wood, kind of holding off for us, everyone is just flooding out. Now thousands of people stretching up and we do have a few sound bites we want to let you listen into, the people sharing just their experience and why they're here.
Pretty much they're going to release all the classes around 12 and have us line up and just stand and just to watch and pay respects and show that we support the family and commit Officer Kerrie.
Has it been an emotional past couple of days for you guys as well?
I watched the news when it went on, and it was shocking to me, and just altogether it's been a moving situation. But through all the support that you've seen on the news and on the social media websites, it's amazing to see how many people are supporting this and how fast it became known.
I just think it shows that she has given so much, Officer Kerrie gave so much to our community, that the community now comes out to show their support for Officer Kerrie and her family and all the police officers.
And I mean, when you see this, is this something, did you expect it? Did it exceed your expectations?
I hoped that it would be like this, and it's nice to see. But I don't doubt it, because Omaha's a very close community for a big city.
I just hope this makes a difference in all that's been going on for such a long time, and maybe somehow we can come together and find some kind of understanding and stop all this violence.
And as you heard, just all those people sharing those wonderful stories and wonderful, memories of Kerrie, and just why they're out here supporting her. One of those first ones, like I said, a student from Thomas Jefferson High School, explaining, why she and her student body chose today to kind of be as one and support an officer. This is Council Bluffs here, Omaha, right across the river. And still very much touched by Kerrie's service. She lives here, part of this community. We are now starting to see the procession. I'm going to have Wayne kind of zoom in as far as we can here. Now, where we are is on 25th and Broadway, and we're just kind of starting to see the beginning of the procession. We're going to toss to Joe Chiodo, who has a closer look. Joe, what are you looking at?
Yeah, we're joining you now because we know that Officer Orozco's procession is beginning. It just turned the corner up there. We're going to zoom in and give you the closest look that we can as it makes its way down Douglas and then over into Council Bluffs. As you can see, as we wait for it to make its way down, you can see just hundreds really of people lining the streets, maybe even thousands. Behind us, we'll give you that view when it does cross the bridge, but behind us is law enforcement and Omaha Fire and Rescue lining the street to support Kerrie as she and her procession make her way down Douglas. Right now we know that there are a continuous growing crowd on the street as we wait for this to happen. I know we have reporters stationed all across the area right now. Erin Murray is over just across the river in Council Bluffs, and she too says that she's seeing a great show of support and people lining the streets for whenever that procession does make its way through. As you see, there are people, and also what you see as you walk through the crowd here are lots of signs showing, support blue, Kerrie on, a lot of those hashtags that have taken over social media and really taken over the entire country. We've been talking with people here today who have just even flown in from different areas of the country, as I mentioned, Minnesota, Indianapolis, San Francisco, and that was something during the funeral. I know that we had John Nicely there, and he was saying that even, and you were listening live as well, but Chief Schmatter making note of just how big of an impact Kerrie has had on the entire country. Really, the hashtags that we were talking about, the Kerrie on and the support blue, have completely taken over. I don't know how far you can see down this Douglas Street, but you can see the lights at the top of the hill. That would be the start of the procession, and it is going to make its way down Douglas and then again over the river. We have our photographer Christian Shampoo in the sky as well in Omaha Police Able One's helicopter, giving you a view from up above, and we will bring you those live pictures during this broadcast as well. We're just going to let this shot sit, and then you can kind of see the procession make its way down Douglas, and we'll be bringing you the live pictures as it does happen.
This is a live look from our WOWT City Cam from atop of the First National Tower. As Joe mentioned, that procession just getting ready to turn down Douglas Street before it crosses over into Council Bluffs. We did see our first glimpse of lights. And as you can see, thousands and thousands of people lining the streets. And this spills over across the river and into Council Bluffs, where Erin Murray was, where schools, daycares, parents are bringing their kids out, even the youngest of kids, to witness this moment in our community. And yes, it's one of the most heartbreaking moments that we've ever witnessed, but the true resiliency and the strength and the caring spirit of our community has really shown through today. Here's a live look as the procession begins. Again, this is on Douglas Street. You can see the motorcade making its way this way, the motorcycles lined up, as well as thousands of members in our community witnessing this event. So many of our residents sporting blue today. The Omaha Police Department was encouraging people to wear blue, also carrying signs that say "Carry On" or carrying flags in support of Officer Kerrie Orozco, a 29-year-old wife, a mother, a 7-year veteran of the Omaha Police Department who was serving on the Fugitive Task Force when she was killed in the line of duty. You can now hear Omaha Police Department's Ava 1 circulating above. They just put the helicopter in the sky out of respect for Kerrie's family and to get the funeral in, and also that final salute.
Hey, Eric. I don't know if you can hear this, but they're going to be hollering out commands in a bit.
This is a live look at the procession as it's making its way down Douglas Street. It's getting ready to cross over into Council Bluffs. Officer Kerrie Orozco's casket headed to St. Joseph's Cemetery at this hour. We have Joe Chiodo just on Douglas Street. We also have WOWT 6 News' Aaron Murray, who is live in Council Bluffs. Both of them saying that they have talked to families from all over the nation, talked to police officers from Minnesota, Indianapolis, a former Omaha police officer who's now a police officer in San Francisco, flying in just to pay respects to Officer Kerrie Orozco and her family. As you can imagine, a very long procession for our city. There are just over 800 police officers on the force for the Omaha Police Department. All of them in uniform today, whether they were at the funeral or watching from the CenturyLink Center, paying their respects to Officer Orozco and really setting an example in our community that they are brothers and they are sisters. Here's a closer look at the procession.
Reason! Arm!
The funeral procession is now crossing the river and into Council Bluffs. Very powerful moment to witness. Officer Kerrie Orozco will be laid to rest at St. Joseph's Cemetery, and as you can see, it is a very long funeral procession line. Just a pause of silence, a moment for so many families, for so many police officers in our community to stop and honor this woman that has really just served as an example to all of us of why service is so important and what an impact it can make. During Officer Orozco's funeral, just a powerful moment as Chief Schmatter asked members of the team that she coached through the Boys and Girls Club to stand up, and during the funeral, the entire chapel burst into applause, honoring these kids that she dedicated her life to in her time off, to helping and to making a difference. We heard a story from a fellow detective saying there would be 35 of these kids, and he'd say, "Kerrie, we don't have time to play them all," and she would say, "Every one of them is going to play." She knew that that made a moment, and a moment that they would remember to each one of those kids. If you are just joining us now, we are taking a live look of the funeral procession for Officer Kerrie Orozco. It's crossing the bridge over into Council Bluffs. Countless law enforcement agency members lined up from all across the state of Nebraska and all across the nation. Definitely a powerful sight that so many people have been sharing, of this American flag that Officer Orozco's casket traveled under as the funeral procession made its way from Omaha into Council Bluffs. Officer Orozco was born and raised in Walnut, Iowa, which is a community of about 800 people. She will be buried again at St. Joseph's Cemetery in Council Bluffs, where we have our Brian Mastry. We'll be rejoining him in just a few moments. We continue to watch the funeral procession. Again, it is crossing into Council Bluffs at this hour. So many in our community were urged by Omaha police, one, to wear blue, which you can see everyone is doing today, and also to carry American flags, to carry signs of support, using a lot of the social media mentions like "Carry On" and "Support Blue" that so many have used as they continue to show their support for Officer Orozco's family and all of her fellow officers as well. As the procession has made its way into Council Bluffs, occasionally you can hear people shouting out "Carry On" or shouting out "Support Blue." You can see officers in complete silence and reverence of losing a woman that was so well respected.
Stand at ease.
We're taking a look at Broadway and 6th Street. This is a live look. You can see that the streets are blocked off at this time as the funeral procession makes its way into Council Bluffs, where thousands of people are also along the procession route. Aaron Murray joined us. You could see people shoulder to shoulder. You saw students from Thomas Jefferson all urged to wear blue coming out, showing their support. And this is the Iowa Department of Transportation's camera, so it's really giving us a close view as the procession crosses into Council Bluffs, makes its way through even more crowds of people who want to show their respect and be part of this event in our community today. Officer Orozco was described by Omaha Police Chief Todd Schmatter as a top-notch person, a top-notch individual, and the city of Omaha owes her a debt of gratitude and her family like no other. And I think that's the reason so many people have come out today, is to show her family that respect and to show their respect for Officer Orozco's service as well, and for everything that she did to make such a huge impact in our community. Let's rejoin WOWT 6 News' Erin Murray, who is along the procession route. She joins us now from Council Bluffs.
Yep. We're here live on 25th and Broadway, and as you can see, everybody in great anticipation, just waiting for the funeral procession. We're just starting to see the beginning parts of the lights. You can kind of see one of the Council Bluffs policemen kind of walking down the street. They're asking people just to kind of step back closer to the sidewalk. Everybody wanting to kind of get a look. As Mallory mentioned, I mean, people aren't just, you know, shoulder to shoulder. I mean, there's shoulder to shoulder about 6 people deep. There's just so many people out here today here in Council Bluffs, ready to show their support, ready to pay their respects to Detective Kerrie Orozco. Yeah, and like I said, again, we are here on 25th and Broadway, and Wayne has it kind of zoomed in as far as we can, and you can just see the beginning lights of that funeral procession. Everybody kind of a little buzz going around here, everybody kind of getting ready. You can see parents pointing to their children, letting them know what's happened. Obviously, you know, something that many kids' funerals in general haven't always been a part of, but this one that has swept over the community because of who Kerrie is and how she served. You know, they're using this as a moment to, you know, tell their kids about the roles of police officers and just volunteers, because we know Kerrie was such a huge volunteer as well. Much of her time outside of work spent with organizations like the Boys and Girls Club and several other organizations. So, like I said, parents using this time to explain to their kids why they're here, what it is to pay their respects, and why this is such an important moment, not just for us here throughout the metro area, but for, you know, the country to kind of pay their respects to Kerrie. What we're seeing out here today, like you had mentioned, a lot of American flags. Everybody also decked out in blue. Many of the shirts even saying, you know, with the hashtag support blue in respect for Kerrie, but also all men and women that serve, especially our police officers. We're also seeing a lot of shirts specifically, you know, for Detective Kerrie Orozco that have her police number on the back, OPD number 1969. A lot of people showing that kind of support. And again, where we are, I know we have mentioned a few times, but I want to keep mentioning it, is the student body at Thomas Jefferson High School. Now, I know there are a lot of students out here, but I'm going to have Wayne kind of scoot over just so you can kind of see them with the funeral procession, too. They're out here, all of them in blue, as a student body coming together, wanting to kind of present, you know, a unified group to show their respects. Even some of the middle school students coming over and standing with them, this being their future high school, also holding flags. Okay, we're finally starting to kind of see the beginning of the funeral procession now. It's probably about 2 to 3 blocks away from us. We do definitely see Able One flying ahead. I know photojournalist Christian Shampoo is in there. I just kind of want you to listen here and kind of hear the okay. So as I said, you can kind of hear the hush falling over the crowd. I'll just kind of let you guys listen in to this moment here at 25th and Broadway in Council Bluffs as the funeral procession arrives at this point. Here's the car carrying Detective Kerrie Orozco. chills just coming over the crowd here. Definitely a very somber moment. A lot of tear-filled eyes. You can kind of see the appreciation among those even in the current funeral procession. A lot of them holding out their phones, taking pictures of the thousands of people standing here on the sidewalk. While here, people on the sidewalk taking pictures of the funeral procession.
Hey Mallory, we're here at St. Joseph Cemetery in Council Bluffs. It's probably maybe another 10 minutes away or so, depending on, you know, the speeds that we're going. Plus, you know, this isn't anything that anyone wants to rush through because they want to, you know, give that guidance and give that ability for all these people that have been lining the road for hours. From my vantage point, and I know you guys are about 16th and Broadway, I think, we are watching. There's a big giant flag. The mourners will be greeted with a big blue sign that says hashtag carry on to the entrance to this cemetery. And what you probably are hearing in the background right now are the bagpipes. The honor guard has been here for probably about 15 to 20 minutes. After the service, they hurried over here so they could get in position and be ready. You have the firing line that's ready, which will be similar to a 21-gun salute that will go off. And you have everybody just kind of getting set. The honor guard is running through its paces right now, as they will be the ones that will deliver the casket to the gravesite of Detective Kerrie Orozco. We will at one point, we're about maybe 500 feet back from the gravesite. We have microphones up there that we've been allowed to play, so we will be able to at least hear some of the service. I've been told by some individuals here that we will okay, I'm just listening to one of the Council Bluffs police officers giving us a couple of directions here as we are kind of listening, and they're just pointing out a camera that the family is allowed a little closer, just didn't want us creeping any closer by seeing that other camera there. So we're probably maybe, I was told by one of the command officers here, Mallory, that once, it may be a while, once the family gets here, once the casket, the body of Officer Kerrie Orozco gets here, that they will plan on waiting for all of those in the procession line to pull into the cemetery and get in place before they start the service. I'm saying that because it was a little different in 2003, if I remember right. Jason Pratt's funeral was at the Civic Auditorium, and then they made the route to Calvary Cemetery, which is near Bergen Mercy there at about 77th and Center. And if I remember right, a lot of the cars were still pulling in as they started the service for that one. It seems to me that they just wanted to get things going and didn't know how long that would take. But this one seems to me that they plan on getting all the cars into this quaint cemetery here in Council Bluffs and give the people the option to get up close to hear the service. The public is being kept in the entrance. What I was told is that they will be able to come into the cemetery once everyone who's in the procession is able to get a place setting here in this spot. So we will bring that to you as soon as they reach here. Probably about.
And we're taking a live look now of the funeral procession near 24th and Broadway in Council Bluffs, and also a live look at the cemetery where we just heard from WOWT 6 News' Brian Mastery saying that as the procession pulls into the cemetery, they will be greeted by a huge sign that says, "Carry on," which is a message that has just been shared so many times and used so many times when referencing Officer Kerrie Orozco, and the message that the Omaha Police Department wants all of us to remember is the fact that we should take a lesson from Officer Orozco. We should want to give the service and the kind of diligence to kids in our community, because she truly exemplifies an officer who made a difference both on and especially off the job with her service to so many kids. We have seen along the funeral procession people lined up 4 or 5 deep. It was shoulder to shoulder earlier, but the crowds have just come out lining the streets of both Omaha and into Council Bluffs, showing support for Officer Orozco's family. So many people wearing blue as a show of support, blue, carrying American flags. And as the procession moves past them, people having different emotions. Some stand there in complete silence. Many of the officers standing together shoulder to shoulder, really showing their unity as they support her. Also, families bringing out even their youngest of children to witness this and to teach them about service members in our community and about law enforcement and what they do. A lot of parents using it as a teaching moment. Also, we see students outside. We've even seen entire daycares bring all of the kiddos out to witness this moment in Omaha's history and this procession as it winds through the streets, and so many law enforcement officers come together and make their way to St. Joseph Cemetery in Council Bluffs. Officer Orozco was born in Walnut, Iowa, and that's why her family chose to have her buried in Council Bluffs. Her family and friends arriving at the cemetery momentarily, as Brian Mastery told us, some cars making their way in. And we're just looking at the crowds, just lines and lines of people.
Mallory, I was struck by a couple of things yesterday
Brian.
For the Memorial Day service at Memorial Park. And first off, this cemetery here in Council Bluffs is a lot more colorful than it normally would be. That's because a lot of people were here for Memorial Day and putting pictures, flowers, that sort of thing by the grave sites. So for Officer Kerrie Orozco, she's over kind of in a corner section. It'll be perfect for people kind of viewing, and in a way it sort of sums up sort of what Omaha Police Chief Todd Schmaderer said, Mallory, is that he cannot think of a better representative for our profession, meaning the police department, the officers' profession. So here they are in a corner with a really good vantage point for people who come to visit the cemetery, not only for Hector, her husband, and the kids, but the rest of the family to be able to come here, to be able to be up close and personal, easy view, and probably for the people that are coming here as well, because when we got here, we had about 2 or 3 people that were just private citizens that were here hanging out at the cemetery wanting to get a close view. I talked to one individual, and he is a retired New York City police officer. He spent 21 years in the Bronx, as he told me. He now has all his grandkids here in the Council Bluffs area, but he said it was his duty to be here. And he also pointed this out when I was interviewing him. It was raining, and he said those are God's tears. Those are God's tears. And he said it'll probably clear up as we get close to the service, but that was just a reminder for all of us that God is watching us. And what do you know, it is cleared up here at St. Joseph Cemetery, Mallory.
Thank you, Brian, and we'll be joining him live in just a few moments. Again, the funeral procession still making its way down the streets. This is near 24th and Broadway in Council Bluffs. After the funeral procession crossed from Omaha into Council Bluffs, you can see thousands of people lining the route, some in places 6 or 7 people deep. Many of them wearing the Support Blue t-shirts or wearing the Color Blue, also wearing those shirts that were made to honor Officer Orozco that sold out so quickly in our community because really as the news broke, a lot of people, the first thing they wanted to do was ask how to help. And there have been so many ways that you can do that, and our community has stepped up every single way. We're taking a live picture from the sky now. This is of the funeral procession. It is still making its way to St. Joseph's Cemetery. The Omaha Police Department has just over 800 police officers, so many of them coming out, of course, today just to show their respects and to be part of this, to honor an officer that was very well respected. And as Chief Schmatter mentioned, she served on the Fugitive Task Force, which is a very dangerous job because these officers are trained to go after, as Chief Schmatter referenced them, the worst of the worst. That was their job, is to step in to dangerous situations. Officer Kerrie Orozco was 1 day away from taking her maternity leave. She went back to work because her baby, Olivia Ruth, was in the NICU and she was born premature and she was going to be able to go home. So Officer Orozco went back to work so she could use those maternity leave days when her baby actually got home, as many families who face this situation do. Now, this is a live look from OPD's Able One. Our photographer, Christian Shampoo, is up with Omaha police officers right now to capture these images of the procession and to capture these images right there. There's the very beginning of the funeral procession. This is live in Council Bluffs right now from Omaha Police's Able One unit. And it really gives you an idea of just how long and how many officers are involved in this funeral procession, and how many of you at home took time out of your morning and wanted to be part of this. Look at how long that line goes and how many people it takes to line that length of streets, both in Council Bluffs and in Iowa. Officer Kerrie Orozco's gang squad unit car also present at today's funeral and is being driven to the cemetery. And this is the car carrying her casket as it makes its way into St. Joseph's Cemetery. It's making a turn right here. Again, these images from Omaha Police's Able One. Officers inviting us on board so we can show you just the absolute gravity of this situation and how many people want to pay their respects to Officer Orozco's family. One of the things that we have seen are huge American flags, both as the funeral procession crossed from Omaha into Council Bluffs. Signs, like Brian mentioned, right outside the cemetery. Also, citizens holding signs, many of them honoring her as a wife, mother, and officer, using the hashtag #CarryOn, which is a message that was repeated in the funeral, saying it is up to us now to take the message of her service and to take who she was and to carry on.